Think the 22 is a kid's round? Or that it can't be lethal because it doesn't blow holes the size of grapefruits? That's what most people think, and that's exactly the problem. See, everyone in the gun world wants the biggest, loudest, hardest hitting caliber. Something that kicks like a mule and punches through walls, but here's the truth. Most of those rounds, they look great on paper, fall apart in real life. The .44 Magnum recoils so heavy most shooters flinch after one round. .45 ACP, slow, heavy, and in the wrong hands, just a brick lob through the air. .454 Casull, great for bear country, not so great when your threat is 5 feet away and moving fast. Here's what really matters: how deep the round goes, how consistently it performs, and how fast you can get back on target. And in that world, the lowly 22LR has a story to tell. This isn't about hype. It's about data, about ER surgeons who fear 22s because they bounce, tumble, and vanish inside the body, about FBI case files, autopsy reports, and real-world shootings where 22s did one thing that really matters: they stopped the threat. So if you're here to settle some old barstool debates about what round will drop a bad guy the fastest, strap in, because by the end of this video, you might look at that quiet little rimfire round a whole lot differently. Let's break this down. When people talk about stopping power, they go straight to the usual suspects: the .44 Magnum, the .45 ACP, even the .357 Magnum gets dragged into the flexing contest, and yeah, those rounds are scary on paper. But here's what doesn't get said out loud: those same rounds fail a lot in the real world. Not because they're weak, but because they're overkill, and overkill has consequences. Big bore rounds come with big problems: recoil that yanks your sight off target, muzzle rise that throws off your follow-ups, gun so heavy you forget you're carrying it until it's too late, and let's not forget the worst offender: over-penetration. That .357 hollow point, it might blow through your target and the drywall and whatever or whoever is behind it. Suddenly, your defensive round just turned into a liability. Even law enforcement has moved away from them, not because they don't work, but because they're too much gun for the fight. Cop needs rounds they can shoot fast, shoot straight, and shoot again without thinking, and that's not a .454 Casull. So while the internet is still arguing about which round turns bad guys into dust, real-world shooters are shifting focus. They're not looking for the biggest hole, they're looking for the smartest hits. Next up, let's break down what really makes a bullet deadly and why most people get it completely backwards. Want me to roll into it? So what really makes a bullet deadly? Spoiler, it's not the size of the hole, it's what the bullet does after it hits flesh. A round has one job: reach something vital. That means penetrating deep enough to hit organs, arteries, or central nervous system, not just skim the surface and leave a flesh wound. We're talking 12 to 18 inches minimum in ballistic gel based on FBI testing. That's not an opinion, that's science. But depth alone isn't enough. It also needs to disrupt tissue. A hollow point that expands correctly creates a wider wound channel, dumps energy, and makes the bad guy leak fast. But expand too early and it won't go deep enough. It drills through like an ice pack and misses everything important. Now throw in barriers: drywall, leather, denim, car glass. Most bullets change behavior the second they hit something tougher than air. Some flatten out, some shatter, some stop cold. A deadly round performs the same way every time: through barriers, through clothes, under pressure. And here's the kicker: none of that matters if you can't land your shot. Recoil matters. Control matters. You don't get bonus points for having the loudest bang if your follow-up misses the mark. That's why pros care about consistency, not caliber size. The best round is the one you can fire fast, hit center mass, and trust to do its job every single time. That's exactly where the 22 starts to sneak into the conversation. Ready for the twist? Let's talk about the real killer and why it's the round no one sees coming. It's not the loudest, it's not the biggest, and it sure doesn't look like a threat. But the deadliest bullet in America? It might just be the .22 long rifle. Yeah, that tiny round in your kid's first rifle, the one tucked into glove boxes, tossed in tackle boxes, forgotten in dresser drawers. It's cheap, it's quiet, and it barely kicks. But here's what most people miss. It kills. Trooper Mark Coates knew what real firepower looked like. He carried a .357 Magnum, wore body armor, trained for worst-case scenarios. But during a routine traffic stop in South Carolina, a suspect pulled out a pocket-sized .22 Derringer and fired. The round slipped through a gap in his vest. Coates died. The suspect shot 5 times with a .357 and survived. Then there's Bella Twin, 1953, Alberta, a grizzly bear charge. She's got one shot from a .22. She takes it, hits the skull, drops the bear, finishes the job. And if you think that's wild, how about the 1981 assassination attempt of President Ronald Reagan? The shooter used a cheap revolver chambered at .22 LR. One round ricocheted off the limo, slipped under Reagan's arm, and came within an inch of killing the leader of the free world. See the pattern? Doctors hate .22 wounds, not because they're big, but because they're unpredictable. The bullet doesn't stop. It bounces inside the body, turns one entry point into 3 or 4 internal wound paths. That's a nightmare in trauma surgery. Ask the FBI. The .22 LR is one of the most common calibers in American homicides. Why? Because it's everywhere, and because no one respects it until it's too late. It's powerful, but it's accessible. It's not flashy, but it gets used. And that makes it more dangerous than people want to admit. Let's break down why. With real data, gel test, and the science that proves what this little round can really do. So let's talk numbers, because once you strip away the myths and macho talk, one thing remains: performance. And the .22, it performs a whole lot better than most people think. Take modern loads like Federal Punch .22 LR, specifically designed for defensive use. This isn't Plinko ammo. It's a 29-grain, flat-nose round, nickel-plated, made to dig deep, not expand, not tumble, just penetrate. From a snub-nose revolver like the Taurus 942, it still clocks over 1,000 feet per second in ballistic gel. It reaches 15 inches right inside the FBI's recommended penetration window. Step up to a micro-compact pistol like the Ruger LCP2 Light Rack, and now you're pushing 17 inches in gel. Use something with a 4-inch barrel like a SIG P322 or Ruger Mark IV, and it's hitting up to 21 inches. No fragmentation, no failure. Just clean, deep, consistent wound tracks. And yeah, that's after passing through 4 layers of denim. Now, compare that to some .380 hollow points that struggle to even hit 10 inches, or .45s that overpenetrate and waste energy. The .22 just quietly does the job without the flash. Doctors have said it. Trauma surgeons back at the .22 danger isn't in its size. It's how far it goes and unpredictably it moves, and how often it shows up where it shouldn't. So if you're still thinking it's not a real self-defense round, well, the numbers would like a word with you. Here's the truth that gets lost in all the big caliber chest thumping. Power isn't everything. If raw force was the answer, every cop would be carrying a .500 Magnum, but they're not, and for good reason. See, most gunfights, they happen fast, they happen close, and they're over in seconds. You don't have time for recoil recovery, hoping your second shot lands. You need control, you need precision, and you need to be able to get back on target right now. That's where the .22 shines. Low recoil means faster follow-ups. Faster follow-ups mean more hits. More hits mean more chances to reach something vital. And when that tiny round hits the right spot, game over. Don't believe it? Ask history. Trooper Mark Coates, South Carolina, armed with the .357 Magnum, wearing body armor, shot 5 times. His attacker still stood. 122 round found a soft spot. Coates didn't make it. Bella Twin, 1953, face-to-face with a grizzly bear, armed with a single-shot .22, dropped it with 1 bullet to the skull. Survival? Not luck. President Reagan, 1981, nearly killed by a .22 LR that ricocheted off a limo and found its way under his arm. A pocket revolver almost changed U.S. history. These weren't .45s. These weren't .44s. They were .22s. Small, quiet, and underappreciated until they weren't. Power matters, sure, but placement? That's what ends fights. That's what saves lives. And the 22LR, it's the master of underestimated placement. So, is the 22LR the most powerful round in America? No, but is it the most deadly? That's a whole different story. Because danger isn't always loud, it's not always flashy. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's easy to ignore. And that's exactly why the 22 keeps showing up in crime stats, ER nightmares, and tragic headlines. It slips past body armor, it lives in glove boxes and sock drawers, it gets carried, fired, and forgotten until it's too late. You don't need a cannon to end a threat, you need a round that you can shoot well, a round that goes where it needs to, and a round people underestimate and criminals exploit. And that, my friend, is the 22LR. It's the round nobody takes seriously until it's already done the job. So before you write it off as just a starter caliber, take a second look, because in the right hands or the wrong ones, it's enough. Hey, if this one made you rethink what's in your range bag or your nightstand, drop a comment below. Ever seen a 22 do serious damage? Got a story? I want to hear. And if you're into myth-busting, real talk, and firearm breakdowns that don't pull punches, hit that subscribe button. This isn't the last surprise I've got for you. Catch you in the next one.